They asked about adopting my son with a smile and a plate of cookies. I laughed at first. I thought they were joking. But Sarah kept her hands down on the counter, and Mike did not make the joke face. They were dead serious, and so was the silence that fell. We had been in town for months. New street. New grocery store where the yogurt is always in the position I expect it to be in. New school with a playground that looks like a spaceship. I was being cool, mom voice firm. We'll figure it out, buddy. It's an adventure. But I was also hearing the nighttime noise of our new apartment, the refrigerator hum as a dozing animal and the heater thumping twice in the middle of a sentence. Eli gained one friend the first week. He arrived flushed and breathless, backpack running crumbs like a breadcrumb trail through my living room. Mom, can I go to Noah's house? He has a trampoline. And a dog. And his mom made those cookies with powdered sugar. What's it called? The snow ones? Snowball cookies, I said, of course being 32 and knowing the correct name of Sarah Parker's cookies, having never even met Sarah Parker. Noah's mom said it's okay. She said your name, which is wild. She already knows your name. I elevated an eyebrow. Oh, did she? She asked if you're the girl with the sunflower bag. Noah picked you up. He said you smile a lot. This is the part in a new town where you say yes. Where you remove your heels from the floor and allow your child to jump on a trampoline you've never checked out because he needs it and you need it perhaps more. All right, I told him, looking at the clock, feeling my heartbeat. Home by 6. The Parkers live 3 blocks from us, in one of those practical, comfortable houses with a large front porch and a front yard that tells a lot about the residents. Chalk scrawls on the sidewalk, a soccer ball, a herb box with herbs labeled in precise handwriting. Murphy, bumping his tail on the cabinet in the kitchen, looked at me as if we were family. Sarah, brown ponytail, athletic top, energy that wraps itself around you without asking permission, served me lemonade as if I were an old friend. Mike, oven mitt in hand, tossing meatballs at the stove with the intensity of a man who knows how to be good. Hello, I'm Sarah, she said, loosening a hand from a dish towel to shake mine. And you're Eli's mom, are you? Is Eli gluten tolerant? And carrots? And life in general? I laughed. He's not gluten tolerant, and that is the hill he will die on. Note taken, she answered, her eye-creasing smile inviting you to breathe in for the first time in a while. We're happy to have you. We can do drop-offs, pickups, whatever. Our schedule is. It's color-coded, so don't judge us, but it can get flexible. Move in, basically. Sarah spoke as if she had already taken up space. And I, tired and weighed down with 50 new choices and 100 more to follow, granted myself the indulgence of relaxing a little into the spaces of her proposal. It was nice to have a neighbor with a dog who smiles and a husband who is passionate about meatballs. We swapped numbers. I left Eli bouncing on purple sky air and walked home light. It was simple first. The good simple. The kind you don't know the end to yet, and you let yourself enjoy the middle. Sarah texted me on school mornings, taking the boys, a photo of Eli and Noah making X's across their faces in the back seat, seatbelts securely in place because of course. I picked them up on Thursdays and took them for smoothies and a 15-minute loop through the park, where they ran around in circles until the sun went gold and everything smelled like leaves. The boys had the impossible same height and laugh, and they made every day sound like a TV show. Yesterday on recess, Sarah noticed things. That Eli would chew on his sleeves when he was upset. That he needs a minute's warning before he sits down to math. She had kid wisdom from having been in the trenches a few years already as a mother. She gave little morsels in the way you give someone gum, polite, easy to take or leave. Restrict screen time on school nights. He performs better when the schedule's up. He requested seconds of broccoli. I'm getting this set up. We began a friendship. Not best friends with bracelets. We're adults. We text about PDA meetings. But I'd come into her kitchen, and the kettle would be already on the flame. You learn about a person when you've opened their junk drawer, and they've opened your smashed-in Tupperware stash. And Eli glowed. That's all. He thrived in that noisy house with the dog, and the soccer cleats, and the whiteboard calendar draped over the fridge like a mission control panel. He unwound. He returned home with more jokes. He returned home with the word actually and used it in combat. He said to me, really, Mom, bedtime rituals are more consistent at Noah's, and I think the long-term benefit reaps in math. I teased him playfully for sounding like a TV commercial, and he smiled and tucked his chin. I never thought there was anything wrong. I noticed the tiny needle pricks of difference, my cozy 2-bedroom apartment versus their tidy 4-bedroom with mudroom like a catalog. My creaky car that I reverse into versus their SUV that is charged up with new car energy drink. That is just the way it is. We're all patchwork somewhere else. I am not a bad person for having a creaky car. They are not bad people for not. But there were exceptions. Little ones. Like the time Sarah substituted Eli with a new backpack in mid-October because the zipper looked tired. She explained to me with a benevolent attitude, not the warped one. I thanked her and I was sincere. But then the next week she made a pair of soccer cleats and they were the same size as Eli, and she said, "We had one extra pair around, and I swear I'm not trying to dress out your child. I just happened to realize there was a sale." And I found myself committing the word extra to memory. He spent the night on a Friday, then the next Friday, then a Saturday when I worked a late shift, and then a Tuesday because the boys insisted and Sarah was working in a crock pot. "It's just easier if he stays for dinner," she sent in a text message. And it was. Easier, at least. The kind of easy that might be like a bath on a cold winter's day, like having someone else hold up the heavy end of the couch while you slide your own. I let him stay. I reminded myself that balance is a different shape from last year. When I came to take Eli home one evening, he erupted out of their front door in socks, hair disheveled, face glowing. "Mom, look," he said, and grasped my hand. He yanked me upstairs. In Noah's room, a corner had appeared, a small bookshelf bearing some of Eli's books, a folded-up pair of pajamas with dinosaurs on them, and a framed picture of the boys holding Murphy's ears aloft in ridiculous poses. There was a small sign on the shelf that said guest star. My mouth goes into the smile thing before my brain is even fully on board. "Wow, buddy," I said. "A whole corner." "Yeah," he said, resting on me. "Now I don't have to carry my stuff back and forth." Efficient. He used efficient in a small boss way. I laughed and draped my arm around him. Something brushed against the back of my neck, just like a hair caught in your sweater. My mother called the following day. "She's 2 states away and doesn't beat around the bush." "You sound tired," she stated, not saying hello. "And you always put the smile on when you're tired. How are you really?" I caught a glimpse of the bathroom mirror over the sink where I was rinsing an apple. "He's okay, Mom," I said. He has friends. It's like a village. I think I'm doing okay." "I trust you," she said. Then softer, "Make sure you're in the village too." The best thing about gratitude, it makes you swallow little strangenesses without chewing on them. You consider, if I chew, will I enjoy something I don't wish to? The school nurse phoned me one afternoon to ask if she might add Sarah as a second emergency contact. "Of course," I answered, because Sarah is a pickup and I work on Thursdays, and it's reasonable. Practical is my love language. The principal had put up a picture of the boys winning their class spelling bee with 3 other kids, all of them smiling and holding up certificates. Sarah posted it with "Our boys" and a blue heart. I stared at the heart too long. I closed the app. Then there was dinner on Thursday night. "Stay on after you drop off," Sarah texted. I made too much. "I want to feed you. And maybe talk about something." Tapping under my ribs started and went on. Dinner was spaghetti and a green salad with the kind of dressing you can only make if you actually measure out oil straight. Mike filled big glasses with iced tea. The boys stampeded over to build a Lego device that required negotiation and the law. Murphy occupied the space between my chair and the table like a furry bouncer. Sarah sat. She folded the dish towel in half. In half again. She smiled a while not doing it with her eyes. "Okay," she said. "So, please tell me if I'm stepping over a line. That's my least favorite hobby." Mike stared at me, then at her. He hicked a throat that seemed to be owing him money. "We have something we need to ask you," he said. "And we want you to know that we love you and Eli. We care about him. We care about you." My nerves slid up my arms, stood all my hairs on end like they were trying to listen more intently. Sarah edged closer, voice soft. "We've been talking lots about just how much Eli is present. How much he's become like one of our family. He is Noah's brother in every sense, but the legal one. And we can see how much you're bearing, and please don't take this wrong way. You are a fabulous mom. You're doing so much with so little. She hesitated, then continued. "We've been cleared for adoption. We've been for quite a while. It's something we've been praying about. And we were wondering if you would ever consider allowing us to adopt Eli." A sound slipped out of my mouth I had no knowledge of. A laugh tried to wear a coat that belonged to someone else. I looked at Mike. He was not smiling. Eli's snickers echoed downstairs from above, completely normal, the kind of radio that stays cheerful in a storm. I don't mean, we're not attempting to take him, Sarah burst out. We would want an open adoption. We would want you to remain in his life, always. We could give him consistency, stability more. I raised my hand, a tiny motion. More what? Her eyes were tears brimming. More of everything. I stared at the plate she'd slid in front of me. The cookie on it had a dent like someone's thumbprint that they smoothed over. Thumbprints. A memory caught up Eli at 5, flour on his eyelashes, pressing his thumb into a sugar cookie and laughing at how weird it felt. My body was in this kitchen. My brain was in every room we've ever lived in. Mike, softer voice, the attorney to her champion. We're not saying you aren't enough. We just love him. And he spends so much time here. It felt natural to consider. And he said he'd be fine with it. What? Everything inside me contracted. He said that. He asked what it would mean, Sarah said in a rush. We told him we'd never do anything without asking you first. He wants you to rest more. He told me that. Sure enough, Eli would want it to be better for me. My dear child, who remarks on how I catch my breath when getting up from the couch as if I'm lifting something. I have to go home, I said, standing up. My hands were too steady. It didn't feel natural. Thanks for dinner. Thanks for telling me. I have to go. Sarah stood up also, her anxiety bubbling beneath the surface. We love you. We love him. If you want to be angry with me, be angry with me. I can handle it. I'm not mad, I told her, which was half lie and half of none of your business, heart. I need to talk to my son. I remained on the couch at home in my coat. I looked around our living room, his breakfast reading tower of books, his cardboard box he turned into a spaceship with sharp-drawn control panels, his dinosaur he refuses to admit still sleeping with and pushing under his pillow like something in hiding. My coat felt heavy. My chest felt like I lost it. Eli entered, hair dripping with sweat, cheeks flushed, innocent of the world's rough edges. Did you see what we did? We constructed a ramp out of rubber bands. It made Murphy scream. Sit with me, I said. And he did. He's 9, but he still fits, and the comfort of that came down on me like a blanket and like a stone. Did you talk to Sarah? Adoption? I asked, and my voice crept around the word. He grew very still. His hands drifted to the cuff of his sleeves and made friends with the seams. I asked what it was, he replied. I didn't say yes for them with you. I know I can't do that. He pressed his lips together. Sometimes you look so tired. I was thinking, if I lived with them primarily, you could rest. And I would still see you all the time. It would be like 2 houses. Like when Noah goes to his grandparents and returns and nothing is strange. I breathed. The kind where you push the air down first so it leaves room for the rest of it. Baby, I whispered. Wanting less of you and being tired is different. Sleeping isn't too much for you. You are my life. You are my home. He nodded, tiny nods. He didn't cry. He just cries now if a cartoon pet is in danger. He leaned his head on my shoulder like he did when he was 3, like my shoulder was still the whole solution. We sat for hours. The heater knocked in the center of my mind. The kitchen smelled of the apple one washed and then didn't eat. That night, I lay awake and stared at the ceiling where the streetlight shines a square that seeps slowly, like slime on a snail. My heart didn't cease. My brain did a parade. Am I enough? Did I miss a hurt? Did I place too much on his little back? Did I let someone else be the spot he thinks of first when he is joyful? Is that all right? If the whole point of being a good mom is to enable your child to love expansively and securely, then am I doing it right? I recalled Sarah uttering more. I recalled how more always lingers ahead of us mothers like a dangling carrot we're supposed to chase while the actual world is on our hip. More activity, more room, more patience, more hours, more bucks, more dinners you cook perfectly because you caught them on someone's page. More. I could feel more winking at me like a game show host with a microphone. At 2 a.m., I woke up. I wandered through the apartment, swept Legos up with my bare feet, lost them on a shelf where he would never look, turned off the light in the kitchen, turned it on again because the darkness looked too unforgiving. I stood in his doorway and listened. The sound of his sleep is still the most beautiful thing I know. I texted Sarah at 7 a.m. when the world had solidity restored to it. Can we talk? Just us. She responded right away. Yes. Coffee? Kids at school? I'll meet you anywhere. We were sitting in a booth at the school coffee shop. The one with plants dangling from the ceiling and a barista who knows everyone's Tuesday ritual. Sarah came in with no makeup and the expression on her face like she hadn't slept all night, and I let my guard down because I know that face. "I'm sorry," she said the moment we sat down. I can feel 1,000 ways that was the wrong way to ask. I believe I let our hope do the talking. We've wanted to adopt for years. We were matched once, and it fell through. Her voice skipped a little. And I told myself I wasn't going to hold that in my hands like a measuring spoon for every kid I met. But Eli, we love him. And I have no idea what I thought. That maybe we were all sitting in the same life and pretending that it was otherwise. I circled my fingers around my cup as though it was a lifeline and too hot to hold. "I think you love him," I said. "And I love that you love him. That doesn't happen often, and that's not something I take lightly." "But," she nodded, "but he's your son." "Yes," I told her. Telling her made me feel better. It rang like a bell. Yes, he's my son. And there's a distinction between a village and a change in ownership. I don't want to make this ugly with legalese, but that's what it sounded like when you spoke. Like asking to be the first telephone call. And that's me. That's mine. She cupped her hand over her mouth and drew it down the way she would adjust her own face. "I'm sorry," she said again. "You're right. When you say it like that, I hear it. And I hate it that I made you feel like you were not enough. You are more than enough." I let out a breath that had been stuck inside of me since dinner last night. "Thank you," I said. "Also," Eli asked because he felt like he was doing me a favor. "I did that to him. I made him see my burnout like it's his job to fix it. That's my fault. I'm going to fix that." Sarah nodded. "We can do it our side too. The language. Our boys thing. I did not mean it like that. An ownership thing. But I notice it. I also overspent on money." She looked almost embarrassed. "It's my love language. I had nothing when I was growing up. Now that I can have it, I overdo it. Let me know what's acceptable and what's not." We made a list as two women map out the weather. Practical. Concrete. The things that are small, but really the whole thing. Eli comes over for dinner on Fridays only. Impromptu Friday nights are okay if I invite him. No default, easier if he sleeps over, texts during the week. No surprise purchases without calling in. If you see a sale and your heart can't take it, send it my way. Let me make the decision. Stop calling him your third kid. Let's play that he's your bonus nephew, or whatever comes across as nice and genuine. Have a carpool schedule that benefits everyone. No one is doing me a favor when it's on the calendar. It's mutual. If it doesn't feel right, we tell them. We don't marinate. I saw Eli and Noah collide at school pickup like the law of motion was tailored for 3rd grade. Sarah squeezed my shoulder. I squeezed hers. At home, I sat with Eli at the table, and we made a new chart that was every bit as official as the one at the Parkers, complete with colored markers and wonky stars. We reinstated Tuesday tacos, even if it's just cheese toast, which Eli argues is still technically a taco. We declared Sunday as Mom and Eli Adventure Day, where we pick one little adventure and do it like it's the moon. We used scissors to cut out our faces from photos and stuck them on sticks so we could photobomb each other's life on purpose. He laughed until he hiccuped. A week later, I found a crumpled piece of paper at the bottom of his backpack. A writing exercise from Ms. Alvarez. Family is. The children had been asked to write 5 sentences. Eli's read. Family are the people who know my laugh and tell me it's their favorite noise. Family is my mom because she knows where I have put my hoodie even though I don't know myself. Family is Noah's house because it always smells of garlic and dog. Family is dining on the floor when we are too hot. Family is when Sarah says, "I'm proud of you," and when Mom says, "I'm proud of you first." I pushed the paper to my chest, and then I immediately stopped because that's how papers are crumpled and ruined forever. I took a picture. I texted it to Sarah with a heart. She texted back 3 times. "I'm proud of him second," she typed. Here's the thing that I wish someone would say to me years ago. You may be held by more than 2 pairs of arms and not be torn in half. Which is really sort of the point. The trick, the holy trick, is to name the arms. To say, this is mom. This is friend. This is neighbor. This is almost aunt. Nobody is less because we call it right. Do I still get the twinge of anxiety when Eli runs into their house without glancing over his shoulder sometimes? Yes. Does that indicate I'm failing? No. It means he's safe more than one place. It means I built a life where he can. It means I can stand on their porch and chat with Sarah about the weather and soccer practice, while Murphy tries to settle onto my foot, and I can feel the old weight lifting, some of it, anyway. There have been hiccups. Sarah slipped and spoke of our boys on the soccer field when she was cheering too enthusiastically, and she shot me a pain-filled look so large it could have been a separate entity. I winked and shouted, "Our nephew scored." Because I am small and I get my joy where I can. She laughed out loud and bellowed, "You know what I mean." Later, she whispered, "Thank you. We're learning. We're new. We get to mess up and try again." Every now and then, I catch Eli looking at me with a face that makes me think he is double-checking to make sure I am comfortable being enough. I put his silly face in my hands and push in his cheeks and remind him, again and again, in new words and old, the same truth. Your home is me. And also, you have other houses with snack foods to be lucky about. We had a family meeting, the Parkers and us, 2 weeks after the conversation. Mike used his calming voice. Sarah clutched a mug in her large hands, as if it were a life raft. I sat in my sunflower tote as if it were armor. We talked about boundaries and openness, and how to talk about adoption in a way that's logical and not to use it as a weight to shift to the other person in the room. Mike swore, if we ever cross over, you pull us back. Truly. I swore the same in return. We swore to warn each other before Instagram. Sarah and I both cried, but not the "I'm going to be so sad now I'll be empty for a while" kind of crying. The kind of crying that erases something. The house still has Murphy in it months later. The grass still gets that little hump in it near the gate where kids invent melodrama about a swamp. We still stroll by the blue chalk heart on the sidewalk on certain days and pretend like it's a secret door. Eli still makes crumbs in a path you track like a cop show on TV. He even texts me from the kitchen of Sarah, "Mom, Sarah made the snowball cookies and I am bringing you one," and he returns home with a package of paper towels like a trophy, and I act like I inspect it for safety with the seriousness it deserves. I am different now. Not for having almost lost my child, because I didn't, but for having walked up to the brink of a scary thought and not jumped just because I was tired. I finally learned the difference between help and giving up. I've found that if you call a thing its name, it doesn't necessarily get all foggy in the dark. A couple of Saturdays ago, we had our own people over. Not a big bash. Just India from the second floor and her twins who climb everything. Mr. Harold from 3B who pretends to hate noise and has a laugh when the children get too rambunctious. Sarah and Mike stopped by later with a pasta salad, and we ate on the floor because the table was stacked under a mountain of crayons and glue sticks. Eli leaned his head beside mine to see the cartoon that the rest of the group was disregarding. He smelled of pencil shavings and sunscreen. He leaned against me like it's his first reaction still. You recognize those little moments when time does a little click? When you catch a picture for the very first time and you think it'll be your favorite for years, even though it's fuzzy around the edges. I saw it then. My son's shoulder against mine. The noise of the people we love. Our apartment and its slanted blinds and the clock that is losing a minute a day. My life, which is not beautiful and is not a disaster either, which is, in fact, just the same. Later, as we embraced goodbye on the sidewalk, Sarah hugged me so hard that I squeaked. "Hey," she breathed. "Thanks for trusting me with your son's life. It's not forgotten. And thanks for reminding me where my place is. I like here." "Me too," I replied. And I did. Eli zipped down the block on his scooter, hair flying, yelling, "Race you, Mom," as if it were the only rule. I chased after him, giggling, out of breath in the best way possible, the way that results from running because you want to, not because you're running after something you will never catch. He looked around to see if I was arriving. I was. Of course I was. That's the whole point. And in that look was contained everything. I'm his mom. He knows. He knows where home is. And he knows there's a village who will fling open doors and dish towels if need be. That's not a loss. That's the win. I still keep the letter the adoption agency wrote to the Parkers on their refrigerator in my mind, because it's actually a part of their story. And now, instead of ignoring it or having it whisper in my worst moment, I let it remind me, we all have unwritten hopes. And sometimes those dreams bump into each other across a kitchen counter and make a mess and become a table that we can all sit around. And sure, sometimes I pass by their house at night when the lights are low and it looks like a painting and I'm like, oh, that looks so together. And then I climb the stairs to our flat and our light is on and there is a library book open face down like a sleeping bird and there is a pile of socks that never get paired and the radiator hums its weird song. Together doesn't have a look. It has a feel. When Eli climbs onto my lap making make-believe size because he's too big, and I grunt and laugh and squirm and adjust, yeah, that's the feel. If you've ever been too grateful to ask for less, If you've ever gotten your exhaustion mistaken for a reason to let go of something you love. If you've ever thought your not enough could be filled in by someone else's more, hear me out. You get to both receive help and draw a line like fresh chalk on a driveway. Undefined, you get to say, my son isn't available for adoption, but come on down to his game and holler with me in the third quarter. You can say, this is my story, and you may be there in it without speaking. Eli simply screamed from his room, Mom, is this toast a taco? And I said, only if you fold it and we fight about it. And he folded it with the most melodramatic eye contact you've ever seen. That's us. There exists a universe where it could have been different. There exists the universe where this is just enough. If you've ever gone through something like that, I'd love to hear what you have to say about it in the comments. And if this resonated with you even a little bit, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell.